Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we go. Another video lesson today. This is going to be the last bit of Unit 3 content before we start getting back into the history. This is more government foundational stuff. We're not really going to get into the government as a whole. We're not really going to get into current events and stuff. We're just going to talk about some of the foundations as we set up and then move into the Washington presidency and stuff like that. So, sure your notes are ready? If you're watching this after class, don't worry about the second part, all that good stuff. Let's move on with the objective. Explain the continuities and changes in the structure and function of the government with the ratification of the Constitution. So basically, tell me what changed and tell me what happened after the Constitution's made. What's the government look like now? You got a couple of key terms based in that stuff. Big brain question of the day. How has the originally designed government affected the United States today? Keep that in mind. Come back to you later. We're talking about the U.S. Constitution today. The AOC was a few days ago. We talked about the Constitutional Convention, combat with liberty, and now we're getting into the Constitution itself. We already covered the objective. Let's get into key point 1. Delegates from the states that participated, because remember, Rhode Island didn't go, created a limited, but dynamic central government. All right, this government embodied federalism by providing separation of powers between three branches of government. There are three branches of government, and this government has limited power. It's not all powerful. It's not like the king. It's not like the Russians are. It's limited. So, what happened at the convention? I just dropped my thing. Give me a second. Drop my clicker. That was tragic. So, what happened at the convention? The weak Articles of the Confederation were replaced with the newer, stronger U.S. Constitution. The new U.S. government was strong, but based on the concept of limited government. So it was a strong central government that could do strong central government things. But the whole idea behind it is that it's a limited government, that the government has limits. It's not all powerful. It's strong, but it's not all powerful, right? Just because you're strong doesn't mean you can lift a bus up over your head. The government has rules and it has limits it cannot cross, and it is designed like that on purpose to protect the people and their rights. So let's get into that moving forward. Again, if you need time on any of these slides, just go ahead and pause. All right, so key point 2, federalism. Federalism is when the national government and the small state governments share power. Federalism is when the national government and the state government shares power. That's all federalism is. The idea of federalism, when you hear the term federalism, not federalist, federalism, they're talking about the federal government sharing power with the national government. So, the 10th Amendment specifically provides for federalism within the United States. All right? And what does it say? It says the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved for the states. The powers that the Constitution does not say they can have, or that the federal government can do, go back to the states. Education is a state issue. So where things like roads, infrastructure issues, things like that. And that's why you get all these weird little state governing laws. So if you need time on this, 10th Amendment federalism, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, we're moving on. So, take a look at this image. I thought I would do this with you guys. Take a minute. Give it a look-see. Give it a read. This was in 1994. For some context, but the context isn't that relevant. This is something more modern. Apologize for the bell. That's on my end. Something to keep in mind now. What are the people saying here? What is this, not the people, I'm sorry, what is this artist trying to say? Well, they're talking about how, well, we're in the civilized world now. Let's take a vote on killing Bob. How many are opposed? Or how many are for? I'm sorry. Everybody, right? How many opposed? One Bob, obviously. Can you believe in some countries people aren't even allowed to vote? It's so barbaric. So this isn't so much a criticism of voting. It's a criticism of the idea that voting alone makes civilized, safe society, right? This person is saying that just because you're voting, just because people have the opportunity to choose, doesn't mean that they necessarily will choose right or that everybody benefits. Now, why do I show you this? It's just to give you an idea. Again, that's my end. Bell, sorry about that. We're in the school now. It's just to give you an idea. The idea being that sometimes, maybe not always, but maybe sometimes, things are not perfect the way they are. That too much democracy can be scary to some people. Not to all people, but some people. Right? Because the system we have, again, it's not a democracy. We have democratic elements to our system, but it's a republic. So it's just something to ponder. I like this image. It's a really good government image. We're talking a little government today. Wanted to take time to show it to you. Something to keep in mind. So let's move forward. Key point 3. Under separation of powers, the power of the government is divided into 3 branches: the executive, legislative, and the judicial, which each have distinct roles and responsibility. That's a given. You should know that. But if you didn't, there it is. Separation of powers. What is this? Well, the idea, as you might have guessed, comes from an Enlightenment thinker named Charles de Montesquieu. Why? Because pretty much everything in the U.S. government came from some form of Enlightenment thinker. Why is separation of powers so important? Why do you think it's important? Well, I'll tell you a few things because we're in a video and it's recorded. If everybody has all the power, if one group or one person, then you get a tyranny, right? You get the king, and they have all the power, and there's no one to check them. There's nobody to make sure they're doing their job right. Splitting the power up evenly to where each branch can stop the other is a very secure way of preventing one branch from doing too much that the others don't want. Maybe that the people don't want. It's a way to check that, keep it from happening. So, here are the 3 branches. Again, this is very basic. This is very bare bones. We will talk more about each of these branches individually as they come up, especially the judicial, especially the executive, when we talk about leaders and stuff. So all you need to know for now is what they do. Congress and the Senate. That's the legislative branch. What do? They make and pass laws. President of the United States is the executive branch. What do? Enforce laws. Judicial branch is the Supreme Court of the United States, federal court level. What do? Interpret the laws. They tell you what the laws mean. That is, by the way, not a power that they were given at the start of this, a power they had to give themselves. And we'll talk about that later. So, that is it for me and for this lesson. This exit ticket is in Google Classroom, answering complete sentences, full and complete sentences. And that is it for me, guys. Have a great rest of your day. See y'all next time.